Yeah, here we are with Canndid Boss Talk episode 2 with the legendary Bruce Margolin.
Thank you.
Bruce, welcome to the show.
Well, it's a pleasure. I'm honored and privileged, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you about some very important issues we're dealing with, and hopefully bring some positive energy into this situation we have going on.
Exactly. For those of you who are not live, this is Canndid Boss Talk episode 2 in the middle of the beginning of the corona virus hysteria. And we're going to be talking a little bit about where the cannabis industry is right now, how we can react to the coronavirus fallout, and what we've got as far as certain initiatives to move the industry forward in a better place. And a miracle might have been driven out of this virus as well. And you're only going to hear it first from the man.
Thank you.
Himself.
Well, let's say this is the beginning.
Tell him a little bit about yourself.
Let's first say this is going to be the beginning of the end of the hysteria, hopefully.
Okay.
That'd be nice, okay? Just positive energy.
All right.
About me, I'd like to talk about myself. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm proud to say, for starters, I've defended more marijuana cases than any lawyer in the country, the United States of America.
Right.
I've been down for the cause since I started my practice in 1967. And began an organization called CAMP in 1967 called the Campaign to Abolish the Marijuana Prohibition. Mm-hmm. And I helped with that for quite some time until I became the director of Los Angeles NORML and the founder of Los Angeles NORML organization, which is a national organization to reform marijuana laws, which I hope you viewers are aware of it, but if not, you can certainly go online and check it out. Okay.
Got it.
It's a very professional, responsible, and successful organization, and we've done a lot to make what's happening today now. Mm-hmm. But I must say, I myself, I have to take a lot of credit for it because I'd like to give myself credit, if you don't mind. And it started out like this, all right? I became a lawyer in 1967, and I was, graduated at 25 years old. And that was a hysterical time, okay, as far as hysteria, regarding the number of busts that were going on in California for marijuana offenses.
Why was that?
It's just a sign of the times. I'll tell you part of it because the white people, the other people were getting busted too. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it was the blacks, the Hispanics, and then all these kids came from outside the state to be hippies in California,
right?
And they were living on the streets. Cool thing to do. They're living on the streets, and they were getting busted like crazy. Okay, and so that added to the whole pot of people being arrested, and that year there was more people arrested and charged for marijuana offenses since the beginning. The beginning started 1915 was the first bust in California.
1915.
At a place called Sahara Town. It was downtown Los Angeles where Alvera Street is. And it going on from there. Thousands of people were arrested and charged and put in prison and put in jail. It was just horrible. Okay?
What color were they?
Well, there were a lot of Mexicans, first of all, because there was a lot of prejudice going on. First of all, the perceived users, and I get this from the records of the congressional records when they talked about making marijuana illegal, places like Utah, for example, and New Mexico. The perceived users were black musicians,
right,
and Mexican Americans.
Right.
And the black musicians were a threat to the white people because they were hot and they were the people liked them. And, And
they had the siren song.
Yeah, they were, and so, but they didn't like that. Uppity, I guess.
Right.
And then also there was...
I'm an uppity black.
Yeah. And then the Mexican Americans, they didn't like them either, coming across the border. And they were, whatever their problem was, taking jobs and all that.
Yeah.
And then there was an issue going on with World War II, I understand, where there was a letter written by the German government to the Mexican government that said, if you join us in the war, we will give you back what was taken from you by the Americans, all these states, okay? I don't know how far that went, but that was passed around a little bit that they were not being Americans. They wanted to take back their land, God forbid. Anyway, so, and so that's who the perceived users were. So that's how the congressional records, when they did these different kinds of caucuses regarding making marijuana illegal,
right?
That was the panther that was going on with these people. Okay,
so then fast forward to
1967. Then it became very popular to smoke weed. Okay,
right?
As you know, because kids are getting hip to the fact this is a better way to go than alcohol, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, and it also was a way to defy authority. Okay,
right.
Which is an important thing to do in 1967. We were dealing with the Vietnam War.
Right.
We were dealing with all kinds of oppressive laws.
It's a peaceful thing to do.
Yeah, and it was also a way to go say, F you, you know what I mean? We're going to
Right.
do our own thing. And this did make a lot of people happy, including Richard Nixon, all right? Because he saw the people were gathering together to campaign against them and to,
They're
to
smoking
make
their
demonstrations.
doobies.
This is an opportunity for me to, take them, get a hold of these people and put them
Right.
away. And so he fanned the flames of the war on drugs.
Mhm.
And in turn, like I said, a lot of these other kids who were normally left alone, who were now in the streets, and many of them were hippies, etc.,
Right.
they were being busted. And so a lot of middle-class kids were being busted, okay,
Mhm.
in schools, etc. And so here I come into my practice in 1967, and I'm a young lawyer, and I went out on my own. I was offered opportunities to work for the government, but I thought I'm down for being a defense lawyer.
Right.
I could have been a public defender or a prosecutor, for example, which is both honorable things to do if you have an honorable heart.
Mhm.
But nevertheless, so I started my practice, and I got some weed cases, obviously, because I was on their,
Right.
their level. I was their age, for example. They
Right.
trusted me. And one of the first cases I got was about 10 kids busted in a hippie house here in Hollywood, okay?
Mhm.
And I charged them $25 a piece, if I recall, and lined them all up in the courtroom. And the other game, there was one kid that was left over that had like maybe 2 ounces of weed in his drawer in his house, okay?
Wow.
And it came time for sentencing, and I said, Judge, excuse me, I just learned in law school, according to the American Bar Association standards of punishment,
Mhm.
it should be based on the intended wrong. He said, yeah. I said, yes, Your Honor, I don't see what the intended wrong is regarding marijuana. I don't see what are you going to
Right.
punish him for. He looked around the courtroom. He said, well, young man, he broke the law. At that point, I realized we're not going to change the laws in the courthouse, okay?
Right.
So I ran for assembly in 1967.
Mhm.
No, 1970. And meanwhile, my practice mushroomed like you can imagine, okay?
Mhm.
I was, getting articles about me. I was winning cases left and right because also at that time, this too long of a story? You'll like it.
No, keep going.
Okay. Well, at that time, we had, hold on. There was the search and seizure laws were greatly enhanced by the fact that the Supreme Court in 1962, in case of Mapp versus Ohio, said that no longer can police use unlawfully seized evidence in the prosecution of a case. So if they broke
That
down
was
the door,
monumental.
huh?
That
Yes.
was monumental.
So they suppressed that. Said the only way you can deter the police conduct, because they weren't being prosecuted by the DA's office for breaking the law,
Right.
and the judges really couldn't do much about it.
Right.
So they said, we're going to take away what's called the fruit of the poison tree. The fruit is the conviction. And
Right.
at that time, these cops were not aware of these laws, okay? And I just came out of law school, and I happened to be a very good
Fresh.
student, okay? I was a good student, okay? I was, I went to a school was not very good school at all, okay? But I really enjoyed the idea of being able to let's say, defy authority and be a lawyer. So
I'd say you've done pretty good for yourself.
I've been very successful. I've been very lucky, very fortunate. I've been blessed, okay? But nevertheless, so I knew the laws very well.
Mhm.
And at that time, you didn't have to give the prosecution a warning that you were going to make a motion to suppress the evidence.
Right.
Like today, you got to give them the warning, got to file motions. They tip off the cops. They know exactly what to say.
Mhm.
But in those days, they didn't know what to say. And I was winning cases, sometimes 3 or 4 cases a day. I had how much business. In 3 years, I had 8 lawyers working for me. Many of them were ex-DA's office. I had about 20 employees, and I was like 29 years old, okay?
Jeez.
In the meantime, so that's when I also began to run for office. I ran for state assembly based upon my argument that marijuana should be legalized in a very, very, shall we say, special district. It was a Hollywood district, goes from Hollywood up the Ventura County line at that time, all along the Santa Monica Mountains. So it was a rich district, a lot of sophisticated people in that district, well-educated people. And in office was an incumbent, a Republican, that had been in office for 26 years straight.
Whoa.
No one thought he could ever be beat, okay?
Did they just not ever challenge him?
Well, they challenged him, but I don't think they challenged him very well, apparently. They kind of gave up on the guy because he was so entrenched with with being elected over and over again. He was an actor before that. But what happened is I won the primary against a man that was a publisher of a bunch of magazines and another lawyer. And I went off against this guy, and I had every hippie in town putting up signs all over the place, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And although I ultimately did not win the campaign, okay, I lost less than 5%.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole establishment of the politicians saw that this is an opportunity here
Right.
to get on this bandwagon. At that time, I retired indefinitely, and not retired. Let's say I took a sabbatical
Mm-hmm.
and ended up in India. That's another story. I'll tell you some other time, okay?
Hey, you can go all day.
Okay, I'll tell you all about it. I love to talk about myself. I think I'm wonderful. Anyway.
You lived a very, very eventful life.
I have. Well, a lot of
You
it has
know?
to do with the people I got to know in my career. These people turned me on to yoga and practice of meditation and
Right.
and all that, and that's been very valuable for my health and my mental state. So
Mhm.
I've been very blessed by the people that I've been fortunate enough to represent. Okay,
Right.
and there are plenty of people of different kinds of race and color over the many, many years.
Mhm.
And I've defended a lot more marijuana cases, defended everything from marijuana to murder,
Mhm.
and been very successful in trying cases, but very few cases went to trial compared to how many cases were settled or or dismissed.
Wow.
Anyway, nevertheless, so
So he gets
I
people
did,
money.
Huh? Pardon me?
So you get it making them break out the bank, right?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was rocking. I mean, but
Yeah.
first of all, I was charging people what they could afford. Okay,
Right.
and that, instead of charging just arbitrary prices, because
Right.
that was good for me and good for them. And my passion.
But I know people that would pay for that service.
Oh
you know?
yeah, and it's valuable because they were going to jail and prison, okay?
Right.
And I could beat these cases back to back, belly
Right.
to belly. It was amazing, okay?
Right.
There was one area thing about the cops were required to knock and notice before they come into a house.
And they never
Knock
do.
on the door. Police officers have a search warrant. These guys, for some reason, I don't know why no one had told them,
Mhm.
but I win cases on that every day because the idea was they would see on television cops were kicking doors in. They thought
Right.
that's the way you're supposed to do it. Take
Right.
them by surprise. But the Supreme Court ruled that wasn't working out too well because you put not only the people inside in danger,
Mhm.
because they don't know who's coming through, and the cops are in danger because they could get shot and killed,
Right.
okay? So they said you're supposed to knock and notice, all right? Because people have to know there's cops out there, let's not shoot their asses, okay?
Mhm.
Okay, so but these cops just didn't know that law for some reason. I don't know why they didn't teach them. I mean, it was taking candy from a baby. It was
Right.
amazing. And it went on for years. Nevertheless, so here it is. Now, what happened is after I won that, or almost won that campaign, okay,
Mhm.
I was very fortunate I didn't win because I really didn't want to be a politician, you know what I mean? I
Right.
give you an example, all right? When I became elected as a Democrat to win with the primary, I
Mhm.
also was appointed to the Central State Committee, which is an assignment you take, even though you don't win, to
Right.
talk about being a leader in the Democratic Party. And so I went up there to Sacramento, and I'm walking down the street with two other guys. One was maybe an assemblyman or congressman. The other guy was something. And then one guy bumped into someone walking on the street. He had a fight with the guy on the street right in front of him. I said, you know what? These people...
Politicians were wild back then.
I mean, I don't know about that. First of all, politicians, no qualification for a politician.
True.
No education.
Just show up.
No, nothing. You know, I mean, anybody can run for office. And a matter of fact, who's all out there,
I'm
I
running
want
for
you all.
office.
I want you all run off for office. Everybody should
Yeah.
run. Okay, because it's a
I'm
great
with that.
opportunity. And first of all, let me tell you, it was really helpful to my career. I mean, it became very well known all through the state.
So what was your first elected position?
You know what? I'm like President Lincoln. You know why?
Why?
He was a criminal defense lawyer.
Uh-huh.
He ran for assembly. He
Uh-huh.
went broke. He had mental breakdown.
Wow.
His wife died. He kept losing for Congress. He left. He lost for many other seats, and the only thing he was ever elected was president. So, but what happened to me, I never really wanted to win, to tell you the truth, okay?
Right.
Because, first of all, I saw by running for office
Mhm.
that it compromises your ethics right off, okay? Because
Right off the bat, right?
yeah, you want to get that. You want to get that vote, all right?
Yeah.
You knock on someone's door and they say you like that. Oh, I
Yeah.
like that too. This is the nature of the beast,
Mhm.
and it's because what are you selling? You're selling nothing. You're not giving them anything. You're not selling shoes. You're not giving
Right.
anything to them. So anyway,
That's a slippery slope.
I didn't really want. Yeah, it's dangerous. Okay.
Yeah.
And me, I'm not that sophisticated. Okay, they'd eat me up and spit me out in 15 minutes. And they get me indicted for something. Who knows?
Right. Right.
But nevertheless. So I always said, if I got elected, the first thing you'd do, you know what that would be?
What's that?
Ask for a recount. Anyway, so
Yeah, give me some of these dad jokes.
yeah, you like them?
Yeah, I
Might
do,
be.
man.
Okay,
I'm
good.
gonna be a dad pretty soon, so
Yeah. Yeah, congratulations.
I appreciate it.
This is your second child, is that right, or what?
First.
Oh, congratulations.
First child ever. The child will be strong.
For sure.
Like its parents.
Strong inside and outside, right?
Yeah. Mind, body,
moral,
soul, morals, and then also muscles.
I got it.
Yeah.
Throw a little yoga in there. It's good for you. I'll tell you. You want to keep your body a long time.
Limber.
You want to keep a long body and keep it your whole life.
I love it. Yeah.
You got to do some yoga. It really stretches you out.
I got to get back into it. I was doing a lot of it.
Well, let me tell you what happens. And not only the movements and all the postures and the strength you have to, but inside your body, these different things are released. You know what I mean? Different chemicals or whatever it is, and that keeps your body running nicely. You know.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to, if you want longevity and you want to not be sick, it's a very valuable thing to have in your life. Whether you lift weights or box or anything else, it's really important to be able to.
I remember when I was a competitive CrossFit athlete.
Yeah, maybe you told me this one time. Yeah,
I really went hard on the yoga, and I never got as strong as that ever. Yeah,
Is that right?
Increased all of my lifts. I was able to jump further, higher, and this is at past 30 years old. So I'm a firm believer in yoga. Acupuncture too. I like acupuncture.
A lot of people think it's kind of wussy, the yoga. Like you saw yoga. So they don't think it's
Is that still?
No, I
think
it's better now. People understand it's more than just sitting on the floor and being a pretzel person.
Right.
You know, that's what we used to call them, pretzel people.
Pretzel people.
You know, look at these pretzels are all twist up. You know. Anyway.
There used to be like bullies in the yoga world.
Bullies?
Yeah.
No, what kind of bullies?
Pretzel people.
Pretzels. You know what pretzels are?
I know. Like people just came over there and talk shit and call you pretzel boy.
No way. No. That was a joke. They didn't talk shit to me. Okay. No one talks shit to me.
Yeah, I'll fuck them up, man.
Bad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I got you.
All right. So, I got you on my team besides, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No. Anyway, so the bottom line is this, okay, is that when I ran that campaign, it really opened up the whole West Side. It was taken over by a couple of guys, Waxman and Berman, a couple of Jews like I was, okay, and so they called it the Waxman Berman machine, okay.
Okay.
They ran for my seat when I was gone to India, okay, and they won, okay. That was Howard Berman, and then his friend Waxman, Henry Waxman, ran for U.S. Congress. He got that, okay, or U.S. Assembly. I forget which one was, state Senate, and they used to come to our parties. I put on these parties for Normal because in 1973 I was invited to join Normal. Not really. They came to California trying to spread out their organization from Washington D.C. to the other states. So he invited me and a few other people that were involved with that reform movement to come to this meeting to see if we kind of give up our little own organizations and come under the big umbrella. And so. I went for it, okay? And so...
What'd they offer you?
Nothing.
You didn't have to compromise your morals for that?
Not at all.
Okay.
No. It was nothing to offer for that. I mean, matter of fact, as far as I could, it could enhance my career as well. It's basically, you always got a vested interest in something for yourself, unfortunately, but that's the nature of the beast.
Especially if the larger organization's philosophy jive with yours, right?
Well, they did, and it does, okay? I mean, they're down for the cause, and they have been, okay? There's been no issue about their sincerity. And you know what Normal represents is the consumer, okay? That's our dog, okay? We're not representing businesses. We're not representing politicians. We're representing the rights of the accused, the right of the people to use this sacred herb. Okay.
Shout out to Normal.
NORML Normal.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, so LA Normal.
LA Normal.
We got a new website coming up. And as a matter of fact, you're on our team, aren't you?
Yes.
Now, what is your official title?
Director of Events.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
not affairs. Events, right?
It's events.
Okay.
I don't have anything to do with affairs.
Okay, good. Anyway, so Yeah, and I'm really glad. I'm really glad you're on board. I'm really excited about it.
No, I'm really proud to be it
Yeah.
too. But I don't know if we're gonna have any events anytime soon.
Well, on 420, we had a whole big going thing at the Wilton Theater. They wanted us there for a big event. Okay,
Are we gonna be out of quarantine?
it's putting on. It's put on, but what's this organization? It's called. What's it called? I can't, something like it's a big organization that does a lot of work with the industry, the picture industry.
Okay.
Something live. What's it called? Something live.
Live stream, live scan.
No, I would forget it. All right. Anyway, so I don't know what's going to happen or not. It's me messed up, and I don't like the government telling us what to do. I don't care if it's quarantine or not. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I think they're invading our rights of
I
privacy.
I agree.
Rights of assembly, and I don't like them trying to control us.
That's the biggest one right there. Right to assembly.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit more about that, because that's the first thing that when we spoke on the phone.
Yeah.
You brought up.
I was yelling about it, right?
Yeah. You got pretty pissed off. Tell us.
Well, I think with
what you think about that?
The Constitution of the United States says we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay.
Right.
And for the government to tell us where we can go, when we can go, and how we can go, without any basis on the individual level, they're just making a blanket kind of, law.
They're flying blind.
It's not right to me. Okay. It doesn't feel right. And of course, with our president we have in office right now, he's taking advantage of every aspect he can to control people and to impress people that he's got this power. Okay. And he's using it in very unfair ways. Okay. And I think to appeal to his what they call him, his base.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll get onto all those issues if you don't mind. But in a minute, let's go back to how wonderful I am. Okay. No, I'm kidding.
Flex on him.
Okay. All right. So what happened? I came back from India, re-inspired to continue my practice of law. Okay. Now I knew I had it going on. I knew I was very blessed. I was very lucky to get into that whole thing. But I was also questioning the law itself, because there's a lot of let's just say, cops lie.
Right.
Everybody lies. Nobody gets prosecuted for what's called when you tell a lie. For what's that word when you get charged with perjury?
Perjury.
Doesn't happen. Okay. And so. And the whole system really frustrated me, although I felt really honored and privileged and so lucky to be able to represent all these people that were in trouble, especially for herb, okay? Because I felt very righteous about it. But I still questioned the moral question about the law and whether I was going to live a life that was going to be of value. But I ended up leaving and saying, I said I was just going to take an indefinite
hiatus,
yeah. So I left my practice. I had good people working for me, and I started out and went and traveled. Okay, and I read a lot of books on the Eastern philosophy, did yoga, and really took the time I never was able to do all these years to read the books that were so important to me. Went to Greece, and then Israel, and then Africa, and I finally ended up in India, where I met Baba Ram Dass. You may not know him. I've been talking about it before.
Is that him behind us?
No, that's the guru, okay?
That's the guru?
Ram Dass was a professor at Harvard.
Okay.
Him and Timothy Leary had a contract with Harvard to investigate and study LSD. And they were giving LSD out to the graduate students in this program.
Right.
They were doing experiments in the jails with people in prison about its effect on their emotional They were doing it with the religious portions of the studies of religion.
Okay.
They were having different kinds of, but one of the kids, one person got a hold of it. There was undergrad, and they got thrown out of Harvard, both of them. Okay, and so Ram Dass, who was then called, he still is or was, Dr. Richard Alpert, he ended up taking a lot of acid over and over and over again, and realized that it was getting him high, but he had to keep coming down, right?
Right.
And he had heard about the East because he had heard about from other people that traveled there. It's like people like Allen Ginsberg and all the other philosophers. So he went there, kind of depressed, and overwhelmed with what he's going to do with his life. He was a very successful person, but he had been turned on to LSD, and he was thinking in a bigger way. So he ended up meeting his guru by accident, and he in turn came back to the States and told people about this. He lectured to a lot of people about the experience he had,
Right.
and how the guru, amongst other things, he gave him 9 hits, 900 mics of acid, okay, to see how he'd react to it, and he didn't react at all to it. You know, he said, "This guy must be someplace we're not." All right.
Right.
And then, so
on the astral plane.
and when I heard him speak while I was running for office at that time, and he planted a seed in me about the way to see life and meaning in a different way. Okay. And I was, since I had it made in the shade, I had, making money, I had a home, I had a house, I had cars, you know, dog, plenty of friends.
You were that dude.
I was having fun. But he spoke about how these things are, these are traps, okay? Yeah. And that the more you desire, the more you're going to be disappointed, okay? And talks about, that to give up greed and things like that is very important. I've never been very greedy. I grew up poor, know, and I just got lucky, okay? But nevertheless, I was lucky enough at that age to take that kind of experience in my life, and I went to India, and all by coincidence, I went to check in the hotel room after doing a meditation course there for 10 days, which this guy named Goenka was giving out meditation courses of 10 days of silence. They were very valuable.
10 days of silence, wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. No speaking, no writing, no talking, no smoking. You had to follow these rules. And the first 3, I want to hear about this. It's called Vipassana meditation. Okay, they're still doing Goenka courses in California and other states. Okay, and they're still giving them out. They're really wonderful. They have Goenka on video, but I think this is kind of fun to hear. Okay, the first 3 days, you supposed to just concentrate on your breath. And you know what you do the first 3 days? You keep falling asleep. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Constantly. Trying to sit up. Okay. But after the first 3 days, you can't sleep anymore. Then you're really trapped. Now you have to sit there. You're not asleep. You're not even falling asleep.
Right.
And so then the next few days, you're supposed to concentrate on your body sensations. My foot hurts, my ass hurts, this hurts, that doesn't hurt, my neck is sore. But you bring yourself back to yourself. Try to keep your mind focused on the present.
Right.
And then the last days were about what they call meditation. And this is something beyond the personal identity. It's about meditating on love and thinking about the people you love and the power of love. And I remember you could see people in your mind and you could give them love while you're sitting in that meditation space.
Right. Store your love all the way around.
Yeah. So by the time I got out of that course, and having had the experience already, I'd already had at 29 years old, running for office, a big career, all that, and I was very powerful in my mind and body, because that's what you mentioned about your child, how you want to be, right? Strong. Mind and body. Okay, so anyway, so
Bruce over here getting fluid.
Anyway, so I get out of that course and had that book "Be Here Now" that Ram Dass had written, called "Be Here Now."
Okay.
With me.
Be here now with me.
What happened is, before I left India, I went to a psychiatrist to say, well, maybe I'm flipping out. Why would I want to give up this career? A lot of my friends would say, why would you want to do that, And this guy listened to my storyline about what I was thinking and my dreams, actually really analyzing my dreams for about 5 weeks. And about 5 weeks after that, he said, I said, well, that's it. That's my story. And I still want to go. I want to go. I don't know where I'm going to go, but I just want to seek, He said, I know where you're going. I just wish I was going with you, is what he said, okay? And he gave me all these books, including one was Be Here Now. He gave me Man and the Symbols by Carl Jung, about dreams. He gave me a book called the one that was called A Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment, okay? There was another one called The Master Game by DeRope. These are all books about the philosophical and esoteric and and metaphysical and spiritual quests by people that are Westerners. They're easy to understand. Anyway, so I really want to read those books, okay? And so I went off and did that for the first part of my trip. I went to Greece first, on an island. Spent about 2 months there. Then I went to Africa and all that. Ended up in India, as I told you. Ended up in this course. And now I'm getting out of this course, And I go to check in the hotel room, and guess what? This guy, Baba Ramdas, is in that hotel. It's amazing. I saw his name on there, okay? So I had a message, just like something out of a movie, you know? And went to check in the hotel room. So I left a message for Ramdas, Richard Albert, that I had a message from Goenka. So he invited me up to his room, okay? And he was sitting at a puja table, you know. He was wearing white robes and a long beard now, you know. He was down for the whole thing. And so he said, okay, and he gave my storyline, what I was doing there. He said, what are you going to do now? I said, well, that's about it. It's meeting you is about as good as I think it's going to get, you know. Especially because in Be Here Now, though he talks about this guru, he made it very clear that he couldn't be found. He moves around all the time. There's no place you can track him down, you know. But nevertheless, he said, you know what? Anything you see in me comes from this guru, okay, Neem Karoli Baba. And I'll tell you what, I'll take you there tomorrow to meet him myself, okay? I said, I'll take you to meet him. He's about 30 miles from here, a place called Brindavan. He said, no, you better go tonight. So I went tonight because he travels all the time. He leaves, you never know he's going to leave. And I was there just with 10 days with him, okay? But one thing I got from the experience with him, he said, if you have a boon, a power to help others, and I did have that power, and still do, he said, you should use it. And with that, I returned to the States, okay? And re-inspired. But I was still hesitant to go back into the full board in the practice of law. And just then, Timothy Leary got busted. He got busted from escaping from prison, okay? Do you know about this story? You know who Timothy Leary was?
No.
Timothy Leary worked with Ram Dass in Harvard. He got turned on to psilocybin, and he came back to it and showed Ram Dass and other people the magic mushrooms, okay? He was a psychologist. He was involved with the what's the name of that hospital? People all belong to this.
Hare Krishna?
No, the hospitals. What are they called? What's the hospitals called? Where you, I forget it. But he came up with a new psychology. It's called transcendental. It's called a type of therapy where the psychiatrist or psychologist gets on the same level as the participant. Okay, it's not this.
That could be dangerous.
Well, it is because it opens up. But anyway, and in turn, he became famous himself as a psychologist, okay? And he got a hard job at Harvard, and they got turned on the acid together. And he came out very strongly participating in promoting LSD, okay? He had an expression called turn on, tune in, and drop out. You ever heard of it? Well, he was very famous. He was very close to the Beatles, for example. He ran for governor at the same time I was running for assembly. They had a song about it, Come Together.
Yeah.
That's the song about him, okay?
Okay.
That's
your guy.
Well, no, he wasn't the guy. I'm talking about Timothy Leary at the moment, okay? I don't know why we got to that section, but also at that year, Nixon called Timothy Leary the most dangerous man in America, okay? The president of the United States, Nixon, called Leary the most dangerous man in America, okay?
Why?
Because he was promoting LSD. Everybody was using it, okay? All the kids. As a matter of fact, when I was about 19 years old, I heard him, maybe a little older, I heard him in a debate at Harvard about use of LSD. And it was attended by a bunch of kids who were from Harvard themselves. And he talked about the experience with LSD and et cetera, et cetera. And in the audience, you heard people snickering and laughing that knew the inside joke, you know? So it was very tempting. What are we missing? What are we missing? And then the Beatles came back from India espousing LSD, you know? Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and all these songs, you know? So it was almost imposed on us to try it because you'd be missing out with the whole experience.
FOMO.
But meanwhile, so Leary became the symbol of LSD use, okay? And he didn't hesitate promoting it at all, okay? And he had one expression, turn on, tune in, and drop out. That's what he promote. Tune in, turn on the acid, and drop out from society, okay? And so that didn't make people happy either, all right? Nevertheless, so
you're promoting drug use.
So he got busted. He got busted, first he got busted coming across the border in Laredo, Texas, and they gave him 20 years in federal prison, and he beat the case on appeal because at that time the law was in order to have marijuana you have to have a tax stamp on your marijuana. You had to buy the stamp, and if you had a stamp, the government said that was arguably okay, but
so
it really wasn't.
Legal?
Not really, but the point is that the U.S. Supreme Court ruled it was unlawful in denial of the rights of not incriminating yourself. Because you bought a tax stamp, you incriminate yourself. Okay.
You can get a tax stamp, put that shit on your weed.
Yeah, and if you bought it,
get away with it.
No, you couldn't, but they required it anyway. I don't know if you can get away with it or not, but nevertheless, so the Supreme Court reversed his conviction. That pissed everybody off.
Right.
Then it gets busted. It's too long of a story. You're like,
no. I'm saying you're like
you'll break it up. You'll break it up.
You're aiding these hippies.
Yeah.
So you're. They see
see
you as a degenerate enabler.
Well, I don't know about me. No one was really against me. Okay, everybody liked me. All right, but I saw hippies as holy people. I equated them to like sadhus in India. Okay, because they gave up their possessions. They were barefooted. They were doing yoga. So I was honored by.
What would be like the modern day equivalent of the hippie movement? Like,
I don't know. I guess the people that go to what's it called? Rainbow gatherings, I know a bunch you know about them.
I just feel like it have to be more like materialistic
these days.
This day and age, you'll never have like a hippie movement like you did before because people aren't willing to give up their shit. Maybe the economic downturn, as we're dealing with it now with the coronavirus, is going to put people back on that level.
I don't know. We're all sucked in as a problem, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe it's all the media that all this stuff. I'll tell you, the more whatever you own owns you. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And I see in my life, because I've lived some years now, the people that have money, they're not any happier. The people that are famous, they're not any happier. Okay, it doesn't bring happiness. Okay, happiness brings, first of all, serving others, helping others is the best way to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's
acts of service is always the
and
best.
So in my case, I had this opportunity to do that in a very valuable time for all these kids that were getting busted for these unbelievably ridiculous laws, okay? I mean, it was a felony in the state of California to possess any amount of one freaking seed, okay? Can you imagine?
Felony?
Felony. And you go to prison, too. And Larry, let me tell you, so Larry got busted in Santa Ana with 2 ounces of weed. He was hanging out with a thing called the Brotherhood of Eternal Love. They were basically distributing LSD all over the country. They were a group out of Laguna Beach.
Right.
Okay, and so.
Did they end up like being like a cult or something like that?
Well, I don't know about a cult. They were selling acid and all kinds of things. They're not existing anymore, but they're arguably a cult. I mean, people that are followings of their church or a following of a guru, they're all cults. You know what I mean?
I agree. I think cults are just like more successful religions.
Well, I don't this is not a religion. Though people the tradition of Maharaji named Koli Baba, he's obviously Hindu and practices Hindu tradition. Okay, and they have their deities. They have Hanuman, who's the servant. They have Shiva, which is the bringer of yoga and herb, by the way.
How did all of that influence like your career? How did you use all those teachings throughout your career?
Well, because first of all, I practice yoga and meditation, but I think I'm a little more present than I would have been otherwise. Okay,
right.
That helps. Also, I see that even though I've been able to acquire what I want in life. Okay, I have a beautiful home. I have the love of my life here. I have my beautiful children. I have 4 beautiful children, all successful. I've been very blessed. I'm just a lucky guy. But the yoga and the meditation.
When you play with skill, good luck will happen.
You play with skill?
When you play with skill, good luck will happen.
I don't know. Maybe. I just came along to the right place at the right time in this particular shtick, okay?
I could dig it.
Anyway, so what happened, I'm getting back to Larry. He got busted for 2 ounces of weed. And he had wrote an article in a thing called the Free Press. In that article, he tried to talk to people that were dealing dope about their responsibility to their clients.
Now, when you say dope like that, you mean like
acid, smack, whatever it might be, that they should know what it's about and try to explain to them what the effects of them are and be responsible. Well, the judge in that case didn't like Larry's article. He saw it as promoting drug dealing, and he sent this 50-year-old Harvard professor, to prison for 10 years. So he got sent up to a prison, a low minimum security,
Minimum.
because he also worked with the government when it was LSD things about how to write certain kinds of questionnaires to know what their background is and how they should be treated. So he knew exactly what to write to get himself in a minimum prison. Okay,
Right.
and he also had been dealing with these guys from this. I told you that this group called from Laguna Beach.
Brotherly.
Brother of Eternal Love. Okay,
Yeah.
it was a bunch of guys, and they were getting charged and busted for a conspiracy, LSD conspiracy cases, and they probably thought they were going to get to him any day while he was in prison, you know. So he was able to escape from prison with the help of the group called the Weathermen. This was like a group that was anti-government and all that. He escaped by.
It's like Bill Ayers, right? Was that Bill Ayers?
Yes,
part of that? Yeah.
You know that, huh?
Yeah.
What do you know about Bill Ayers? I don't know much about him. He was the leader of it. What was the story?
I don't know the full story with it. I know that he was part of like the Weathermen group. They ended up doing some bombing.
Yeah.
Small scale bombing. Ended up being tagged as domestic terrorists.
Yeah.
And in the lead up to Barack Obama going into presidency, he was called under question for his association with Bill Ayers.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you like that? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
Yeah. That's back when I was like following politics all deep and shit.
History is fun, isn't it?
History is really fun. I was in Chicago. I was living in Chicago, literally blocks away from Grant Park when he was when he won the presidency. It was crazy in Chicago. It was nuts to be there and to witness that like live and see like Oprah there and like all that shit. It was a pretty awesome thing. Yeah, shout out to Obama.
Hey, let me tell you, I love him so much. It's unbelievable. But I thought when a black man was going to be president of the United States, things would change drastically as far as racists and all that.
Why'd you think that?
Because I thought they finally conceded that blacks are the same as whites and it's just so honorable and it's just a great thing. The president, I thought people would get over this, all this negative thinking about because the color of your skin is different than theirs. Do you think it made that much difference? I'm kind of disappointed it hasn't. I thought at the end
we're getting the white lash right now.
What does that mean? They feel threatened? They feel threatened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you have a certain melanin-motivated individual rise to a certain point, they're not supposed to break through that ceiling. And what Obama did was he broke through that ceiling. And for folks that just can't get past
the prejudice,
the fact that, you know, a black man did that, they want to bring it all the way back. And like, we don't give a shit who this person is. We're going to put them in.
I know.
So it's not you, and it's the exact opposite of you. But
you know, I tell you, the night that we passed Prop 64, which in my mind, because we had to go for it because finally we got legalization. Okay.
Right.
Like the other stuff was in it. We'll talk about that in a minute, okay? That's the same night I was at an event, and the LA Times was there and all that. And just as they announced it, at the same time we're looking at the TV screen, and it turned all red. That the Republicans put this guy in office. I was shocked that this could happen at the same election, okay? On one hand, I was so elated. On the other hand, I couldn't believe that they elected this person as the president, right? There's such you know, the thing is, we live in a bubble here in California. You know that?
That's why it's important to know who's running and what their initiatives are, right?
Yeah, but you could see this whole thing is based on racist, as far as I'm concerned. I saw he was a racist to come number one, and people appealed to a lot of people. Now
that's why it's kind of bittersweet having Trump in office, because you can actually see who he is underneath behind the suit. He's the same person.
On one way. He is something to say. He says he's not a racist, okay? And I see. Let me just finish, okay? And I'm not defending him in any way, stretch, or form. He may not be a racist, but he sees that as an angle to build his base, okay? You know, and I didn't realize
he's a showman.
I didn't know that there were so many people that would go for this kind of right-wing person in this world at this late game. I mean, I thought this was over with the Nazi Germany. You know what I mean?
I don't think he's right wing at all. I just think he's wild, and
he just saw there was a lot of base out there.
He does what he wants.
I don't care if the people are against gasoline. You know, he would get that base if he could. You know what I mean?
I could dig it.
Anyway, let's go back to this.
So Prop 64.
Okay, well, I'm going to get to Prop 64 in a moment. But
okay,
so Timothy Leary got busted. He escaped from prison, all right? And he ended up getting out of the country. He goes to Algiers and joins the Black Panther Party, okay?
Okay.
It's because Eldridge Cleaver or something was there. I forget who was there with him.
Okay.
And he was taking a lot of acid. They didn't like that. They threw him out. So he went to Switzerland, and they gave him asylum.
Okay.
But Nixon was so pissed off, he insisted that they bust him. So he left to go to Kabul, and he got busted at the airport of Kabul, Afghanistan, by the feds. Actually captured him. They had no extradition or anything. They just seized him. He brought him back to America, and he was in jail. That's when he escaped. Okay, and that's when I got back from India. Approximately the same time he was busted.
And was that your first case?
No, that was years later. I was already now back from India. Yeah, no, I had many cases before that. You know, I tried all kinds of cases.
I mean, your first marquee case, your first.
Well, I had a lot. But he was one of the most renowned person I represented. Okay, I represented a lot of rock and roll groups. You know what I mean? A lot of kids in Hollywood.
Right.
You know, and all kinds of people. Anyway, nevertheless, the point is that he got busted, and at that time when I got back, so Papa Ramdas said, "Would you please represent Timothy Leary?" So I went to see him in Santa Ana jail, and I represented him on the escape charges. Okay, and there was a lot of press and a lot of excitement about it, and there was no way going to win an escape trial. They pretty much, you escape from prison, you're required to surrender to the closest police station that's available, because people may escape because there's a fire, for example, where you can't get out. But I had about 4 or 5 defenses I came up with, including LSD flashback defenses and all this. And the purpose of it really was to let the people know that he wasn't such a terrible guy. He was in jail for marijuana, a couple ounces of weed,
Right.
And he did work, and he did get out relatively soon. And it was quite an experience for me. But let's go back to that. I don't know why I brought it up. So
how it influenced you?
Oh, so all this influenced me, obviously. And it was a great people are very impressed when I represented Timothy Leary, because he's a well-known person. I represented a lot of stars and rock and roll bands and stuff like that over the years. Doesn't make much difference in my mind. But so I went back to work, and I ran for office again as an assembly, and then later on I ran for governor of the state of California, and they gave me the title designation on the ballot is marijuana legalization attorney.
Right.
Which
that's crazy.
It was crazy, but they recognized the shall we say, the credibility of that.
Right.
And sure enough, I mean, I think at that election there was 134 people running in this. It was called a recall election.
Yeah, it was one of the Schwarzenegger, right?
Yeah, well, he won it, but I came in like number 10 out of 134 people with no money, just because they had that on the ballot. That marijuana legalization attorney.
Oh man.
Yeah, and then I ran for U.S. Congress again in 2000. I think it was 2000.
I think that was the first that I heard of you when I was back in Chicago.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
And so, I just took advantage of the system to tell you the truth.
Because of your title.
Yeah, I took advantage of it. It would help me pump up who I was. I made my career great too, and it's a free ride in a way. You get running for office, but and so that helped push the whole legalization platform
initiative
along the way, and then ultimately then we had many campaigns before Prop 19 in 1972. We got 1/3 the vote. We had another proposition later. I worked with Jack Herrera out of my office in West Hollywood. We had the campaign there. And so we came relatively close. 1/3 wasn't bad in 1972,
Yeah.
But we were long from it. Then we had Prop 19 just before the last election, and we got 54%. No, we got 46%. We lost by 4 points, But along comes Prop 64 to Gavin Newsom,
Yeah.
And he didn't talk to people on the ground at all, This is all done in Sacramento.
Gavin never talked to anybody?
I talked to him one time, and that was the beginning of the campaign. I was concerned there could be too many initials on the ballot, and therefore no one to get 50%, right? They'd be washed away.
Right.
So that was my concern. I had no idea where they were up to as far as the dictates of this new legislation going to be regarding how they're going to create these business licenses and all the other things that they attempted to do.
Right.
It's a whole new world. I mean, it's like it's never been done before. Arguably, it started a whole new business. You know, at least when they legalized alcohol, people already did business before that time, so they knew basically what. But
it's not the same as alcohol.
No, but they burdened us so much with all the regulations, and made it so expensive, and raised the price of weed so much.
Do you think it'll ever recover? Do you think the market will ever recover with the right people, though? Will it? All the right people with their hearts and their businesses in the right place, they're going to be washed out.
What do you mean by that?
By big business.
That's a problem. That's one of the big problems. Like, let me give you an example. We'll talk about this in depth if you want to, okay? And by the way, let me pop up my guide on marijuana laws, all right? I'll tell you now because it's helpful for people, okay? See this guide here? I've showed it to you many times, right? This is the 23rd year I wrote this guide, all right?
That'll keep you out of jail.
It's online. It's free, okay? At 420laws.com. That's my website.
420laws.com.
And my telephone number is 420laws. 1-800-420-LAWS.
Yeah.
But in here is all the laws concerning the criminal laws, the licensing laws, the local regulation laws, the search and seizure laws, the cases that are relevant to if you get popped as a medical patient.
This is like the this is your new almanac. This is going to take the place of your almanac in your glove box because nobody uses the almanac anymore.
Well, they got them. Libraries like them, okay, and lawyers like them because in this book I put all the cases down, so it's easy for them to pull the cases out in the middle of the courtroom, and could win these cases because if you cite the cases and you know the law, the judge is kind of stuck with that, right? But the problem with the law was before Prop 64 was very confused. All right, I could back up on that if you want to hear a little bit about that.
No, I mean, what was the true point of Prop 64 other than legalizing retail cannabis? Like,
well, it was obviously part of it to get a piece of the action. Okay, they wanted the money, honey. Okay, and they saw that they weren't gonna beat it because marijuana is going to continue to be used. It has been used before they passed all these draconian laws.
It'll be
It continued to be used.
It'll be here after us, too.
And the same number of people continue to use, the same percentage of people. And they saw the writing on the wall that we better get on board because we're losing the opportunity to get the dollars. So it was set up to bring in taxes, okay? Big part. But again,
so why push for legalization over decriminalization?
Well, that was a mistake. We didn't think on all along life. We thought legalization was you can go and talk and smoke and midnight joke and leave us the fuck alone, right? You know, so this thing got. But of course, I mean, I think he had the right idea in mind. He wanted to make sure it passed, so he put in there and put everything in the kitchen sink to make the public happy, like no smoking in public. That's messed up, right? Another part of my practice right now is being the director of NORML in Los Angeles. I'm very much down for getting involved with the politics today. And one of the things I'm really concerned about, for example, is the lack of places to be able to use marijuana unless you own a home. You can't use it in the public. You can't use it in your apartment or your condo unless the management says you can.
Is it legal to smoke in your car?
No, you can't have an open container in your vehicle. And that's another problem.
I mean, not when you're driving. I mean, like,
no, you can't
if you're parked.
Cannot. Let me. This is one of the reasons you got to know the guide. Okay. Okay. The first part of it is possession, and is that possession? But first of all, this law, it sounds like all you can have is up to an OZ, right? Well, that's not bad to have an ounce, but they ain't going to keep you very long.
No.
You can grow 6 plants.
Especially if you're at home with this damn coronavirus.
That's it. You got to believe it. You can't even go fucking shopping anymore. All right, let me finish. So, but you can grow up to 6 plants in your home, 6 live plants. No, I hear from people, and that you can get a bit of stash out of 6 good plants, but who can afford setting up an operation?
Nobody.
You have to have lights. You can't in the city of Los Angeles or the county of Los Angeles, you can't grow outside. I mean, it's AFU, all fucked up. Okay, it's not freedom. All right,
at all.
No, and then what happened? But then we talked about, and I want to get to this in a moment since we're on the subject about equity. Okay, they see that the people that were. Let me fix this microphone. the people that were arrested and charged got screwed, okay?
Right.
And I commend them
Mm-hmm.
for recognizing that we've got to make up to that somehow. And so what they did is they proposed that they would have equitable license, mean give equity to the people that have been arrested or charged in marijuana cases, legs up to get licensing. And the city of Los Angeles was very down for that. It was headed by Kat Packer.
Mm-hmm.
She's a beautiful person. You never met her?
Yeah, Kat's a
She's
good friend.
Good person. And she was in the normal.
I moderated a panel with her last weekend
I love her.
at USC Marshall School of Business.
And I think she's down for what she wants to get done, okay? She was a member of Normal in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud to say she gave me an award recently from the City Council in West Hollywood, the Chairblazzer of the Year. And I've spent some time with her. I know she's great. She's down for on-site consumption licenses, okay?
She's been taking a lot of hits lately.
Yes, but the problem
Comes
is...
with the territory, though.
But let me tell you part of the problem, okay? This social equity program said if you've been arrested or convicted of a marijuana case, you have a leg up. You could qualify as a social equity candidate.
That's what they said initially.
Yeah, but it turns out in order to be a candidate doesn't mean you're going to get a business because you have to have the dollars to open a business, right?
Lots of dollars.
Lots of dollars. So they're entitled to have investors, although the social equity candidate is supposed to have 50%.
Supposed to.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they left an awful lot of things unresolved about how these contracts could be done between the investors and the social equity candidates, right? And basically, they took advantage of them, okay?
Yeah.
Big time. And so, everybody wanted to get a license, and it hasn't been good, okay?
Were we naive to think that wasn't going to happen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Naive, yeah. And so, don't forget, we didn't really have any control of it anyway in the first place. And I'm going to talk about another initiative I want to talk about.
Okay.
I want to talk about. Now, first of all, we had initiatives before that were much more complete. But anyway, the new initiative is called CHHA.
CHHA.
Which is California Health and Hemp Act.
Got it.
Okay. And if you go to the website, you can find it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is on Jack Herrera's philosophy about what we should have. It's going to call for everybody to have 12 pounds of herb, 99 plants.
Mm-hmm.
To get a license, I think it's $1,000 for a license, no other qualification, okay? So I would solicit people to join in this campaign.
Yes.
And go online and check it out.
Where can I find you?
Well, it's not mine. It's the California CHHA, okay?
CHHA.
Yeah. And it's similar to the California Hemp and Health Initiative, with Jack Herrera had first coined the acronym.
So it's
okay?
California Health and Hemp Act.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Got it.
And they can help collect signatures. First of all, they can download the signature form. Okay.
Download the signature form.
And they all have to do is fill out attest to the fact that they're doing it legally and appropriately, and then we can get it going. But they're not going to do it right now with the virus. Who's going to go out there and start, putting himself on the street? So if we can get them to say it's okay to collect the signatures by internet, there should be a way to do that.
Yeah.
And then we have much more probability of getting enough signatures.
Online petition.
Yeah, and we'll get it on the ballot. And
Right.
that'd be beautiful. Give
be
people
great.
a choice, because that's what we're talking about, the choice. Anyway, so I believe in that. I believe in this, the constitutional right of choice to be able to decide what you do with your body.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a right of choice when you want to smoke herb or not.
Yep. Always.
I see it as a religious, not a religious, say a spiritual experience, okay?
Always.
We talked about the philosophy and the religion of the Hindu tradition. Lord Shiva is deemed to be the provider of yoga, and also his prasad is the sacred herb, ganja. Okay.
Gotcha.
And so, when I talk and joke and then I smoke, I always say Om Namah Shivaya. Hail the Lord Shiva.
Om Namah Shivaya.
That's it. Om Namah Shivaya. Anyway, so that's part of my story. And I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about myself.
Much love, brother.
And had
Always.
fun. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you better and better. I want to
Likewise.
congratulate you on the baby. I can't wait
I
for
appreciate
it to come.
man.
2 more weeks, huh?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Do you have any names picked out at all?
Yes. Bastian.
Bastian?
Rocket.
Rocket?
Yeah.
You don't like
If he's a
Bruce,
boy.
huh? You're not going for Bruce, right? How about Sativa if it's a girl? Sativa?
Sativa?
I'm just
We were
throwing it out.
going for like Cecilia.
Huh?
My great aunt likes Cecilia.
Sativa, that's nice too.
Yeah.
I was just
If it's a
kidding about
girl.
Sativa, you know.
Yeah.
Cannabis.
No,
you know.
I like Sativa too. I can name my daughter. My second daughter will be Sativa.
You know, I named my kids Allison, my daughter Allison. I'm very proud of her. She's a very well-known lawyer, very
Why didn't you
successful.
name your daughter Sativa?
Well, it was before my day, you know. Anyway, okay, so your name is Allison. My son, my next daughter's name is Madison.
Uh-huh.
My son is named Harrison. Okay,
Yes.
and I have a daughter named Ariel. So I was copying all these names, one after the other, and so that's my story. We got to get off. I think we're done right to this. This is done this time, right? But we'll get back to it, right?
Hell yeah.
And I really appreciate this opportunity.
Love you, brother.
I love you too, man. We're not afraid of the virus, guys. We're not going to concede it.
Bullshit.
We're gonna be
I'm about
free.
to hand
We're gonna-
sanitize the fuck
we're-
out of these
Yeah,
motherfuckers.
we're gonna hug. We're gonna hug and love. Okay, we're not giving up.
Yes.
Ciao. Thank you.